up, everybody? We are back here on From Drinking Buds to Thinking Buds.
Nice.
Nailed it. Got it. First time I got it right in 8 tries. That's not bad. I'll take that. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know me, this is, again, your host with the most, Hogan, with my good buddy Mike. And Mike, we have a guest today. We have our first ever guest on the podcast, 8 episodes in.
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce him, or should we make him introduce himself?
I mean, I could. What do I need? Like a superlatives. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. Standing at 5'5".
Ooh,
accurate.
Short King, stand up, baby.
I don't even remember what you did. What were you an all? You were an All-American, right?
Yep, twice.
And then you were a part of the team that held the record up until like 2 years ago, too, right?
Yeah, we just lost it.
We should probably start with his name, though. That would probably help. Yeah,
our friend Tom.
Thanks, Mike.
I don't like doing introductions. I told Hogan that, and he made me do it last week. I hated it. So
I love doing it to him. Where if he tells me he doesn't like something, I obviously have to make him do it at this point. So that's just how that works. But
Mike just hasn't learned that yet.
No, clearly. I mean, you'd think he'd know at this point. But Tommy boy, how you doing? You excited to join us today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm nervous. I never did this before.
You'll be fine. It's all right. I believe in you.
Thanks, Hogan.
Way to make it not awkward. Anyway, moving right along. Mike, what do we got for Tom today?
And you're bringing it back to me. Great. Okay,
yep.
Cool. Yeah, fantastic. No, well, I think that we were going to try to talk about possibly some of the things that we did do in college. I know that Tom needs to be a little bit cleaner than we do. His career path in life has put him down a road where he's involved with making lives better for children. And with the, I don't know if you want me to say what you do for work, but you work at a summer camp, I guess technically, but you work for the YMCA, so you help out a lot of kids. So we're going to try to do our best to keep this somewhat PG-ish. But yeah, I know Tom was one of the first guys that I met in college. We technically we lived next to each other. So I think I met you literally the first day. And then we had to talk about how my roommate built like a giant jungle gym inside of my dorm room, which was abnormal. So I know for most people that are in college, there's usually 2 normal type of bunk beds. And then when I walk into mine, there's literally 4x4s made out of wood, about like 5 feet high, was like a giant platform jungle gym bed with like a whole bunch of stuff under it, which I know was definitely, I think a lot of people come by and like, what the fuck is in that room? And I'm like, I don't know. He came early and built custom stuff. So
we're keeping it PG, dropping the first F-bomb 10 seconds after that. I love it, Mike. You're consistent with it. But no, you're not wrong. I do remember the fucked up jungle gym that we saw in there anyway. But yeah, Tommy, what was your experience meeting Mike for the first time? That's what I want to know. What were your initial thoughts when you first met this guy?
What the hell is wrong with this guy?
That's it? Just generic, like, I don't know what's happening right now. Get this guy away from me.
Yeah, no, like I knew that we were going to be very good friends, but just because we didn't, I don't know. I pause.
No, I know originally that when we first met, I think it was nice that, one, we both knew that we were on the track team. So that was like an easy thing to kind of like, all right, that makes sense. We thought that we both were from New York, so it was pretty similar, even though it's like completely different from being on Long Island to being to upstate to like middle New York. It's like 2 completely different worlds. And then I think like one of the first things that we did was we tried to go to the track house to go to like a party with Steve, who doesn't drink and he doesn't party, but I guess he was trying to do like team bonding, and we got turned away like immediately. And we briefly spoke about it with the NCAA clearinghouse. I think was one of the first days that Tom actually met me too, where I said something highly inappropriate at an NCAA clearinghouse meeting. And I remember looking down next to me and Tom's face was like, he's like, what the hell is going on? Who is this kid? And yeah. And that's kind of how I just embarrassed myself since.
I'm trying to remember. Did we tell that story? We did tell that story on this podcast already, right? Yeah, that's where the infamous chant for Springfield came around from. But let's go back to what you were kind of doing before when you were introducing Tommy, where you talked about him being an All-American running the 4x1 with a couple of other solid dudes and stuff like that. Tommy boy, what were your favorite events in track in general? Like, was it the 4x1 that was like what you got hyped for the most, or was it like other stuff in general that like got you excited?
Yeah, I think I like the relays the best because I could always count on everybody else.
So
I can be the slow guy and kind of blend in, you know?
Nice, yeah.
Do you think that the cornrows made you faster?
For sure. I used to have hair in college, and it definitely slowed me down. So when my roomie's twin sister gave me some nice tight cornrows, and then coach made me take them out, but I was faster for a few minutes.
Wait, did he really take? I feel like I remember you having them for a while. He really made you take them out.
Yeah, he was pissed.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is that we were on the same team, but technically, like, we didn't really see each other at all. Like, because obviously Hogan and I were throwers, and Tom was more obviously a sprinter. So they did all their workouts on the track. We were always kind of in the field, like 300 yards away from the track. And then even our lifting schedules weren't together. So we didn't really actually, even though we were teammates, we essentially spent almost zero time together actually on the field, which I guess was pretty strange to like think about how they were just two parallel experiences until we started living together. And then it's like, that's where like a lot of camaraderie started coming up.
Yeah, I never really thought about that. There was definitely a clear separation with the distance crew.
Oh, yeah.
Right. They even lived separately, but like we all went to practice together. Lift was separate, but we all ended up eating together, obviously drinking together. But yeah, it's definitely a different kind of sport where it's not like that's not where you bond is at practice or at meets.
That's definitely the biggest thing that I remember in regards to like track was just the distance guys were their own. I mean, literally, they were distance guys. Like that's why we call them the distance guys. And I know they hate it.
They hated that.
Hey, but it is what it is. If they called me the throwing guy, I'm not going to be like, I don't throw. It's like, yeah, I throw. Like, yeah, call me a throwing guy. I don't give a shit. But that was.
Well, they hated being called the distance kids, and you would always call them the distance kids. They wanted to be the guys.
Well, they were kids. I mean, they looked like kids. I mean, I'll say it. I'm sorry. Like, whatever. They looked like it. It is what it is. But
I take offense to that as an honorary distance member. That was my label. I take offense to that. They did not look like children. They were just thin. They all had like
children.
A lot of it. Well, actually, it's a 50-50 shot. They had a beard. I couldn't grow a beard. So
exactly. Either way.
Yes, I was an honorary distance kid. I went to regionals one year, and I dressed as a caveman, or as a Viking. It was Vikings. We were dressed as Vikings. Yeah, and we were running through the field with weapons, stabbing people. So
that's I distinctively remember that story. I remember being very upset that I didn't go because it sounded like it was a hell of a time.
Yeah, no, it was good. But no, I was an honorary distance kid, so watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Okay. I'm so sorry, honorary distance kid, with all the miles you ran in college. Like, let me watch out now. No, but seriously, though, that was the big thing was that they had kind of their own crew because you think back to they had literally they had cross country out of season when track wasn't going on. So they already had that connection that they had, obviously, where they all lived together, they all did stuff together, drank, ran, crazy, distance people things. Where the throwers, we had our own like circle, I guess you would say, but at the same time, it meshed well with like the sprinters too, where we were never in the same spot, but we were always in the same vicinity with each other. And that was the biggest thing that I remember how I met Tom. Was the same way. I didn't live on the same floor as you guys freshman year. That's how you guys met like immediately. But I remember meeting Tom shortly after we got to Springfield. And I know my initial thought was just like, what the hell is wrong with this dude? He's got a screw loose somewhere. But I mean, he definitely seemed like a fun guy. So that's why I was excited to hang out with him. But I think it also had a big part to do with you, Mike, where you would wake our asses up like 6 o'clock in the morning, hungover as shit from like the night before. And it's like, all right, let's go to Cheney. It's breakfast time in your bathrobe.
Yeah. You know, what's funny is I was going to try to, I know I asked it before about what things do you think people knew you as before they knew you? Like, and that was one of the things that I think a lot of people knew me as Robe Kid for like a while. If they didn't know me at all, they were just like every weekend, this dude, rain or shine or snow, was in Timberland boots and just a robe with my chest hair out and like a wool hat. So I think that Tom was recognized mostly for being Guitar Hero Kid for the first year.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was my nickname.
Guitar Hero Kid.
Guitar Hero. No kid, I hope. I was taking offense to the kid.
Don't know why, obviously. No, what was the song that you 100%ed that was absolutely ridiculous? It wasn't through the Fire and Flames or whatever the hell it was, right?
That's the only song I could beat him on was Fire and Flames, Through the Fire and Flames.
Because we just start bonking around.
Yeah.
Bing, bonk, bing, bonk. No, that one and Buckethead I couldn't beat. But the rest of them, those were the only two songs I never beat.
Mike, I don't know if we told you that it was it was last year that I went to your house, Tommy, and we busted out like the old consoles and you found Guitar Hero and we had to try and like fix it up and it was miserable because we couldn't calibrate the sticks or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it was still fun though. I feel like we figured it out, but it's different on a PS2 to like a high def TV now.
Oh, 100%. That's the biggest thing is trying to figure out between the audio setup and the calibration and all that crap. I did hear they are trying to bring back Guitar Hero. I think that's like a thing that's happening soon.
Yeah, I signed up for their email list. It's supposed to come out this fall. I'm pumped. I think it's like a Rock Band style, so it has all the instruments and everything.
Of course, Guitar Hero Kid's going to be signed up on the email list. Of course he would be. No, yeah. That's awesome. That sounds super fun. I hope they have some good songs on there because I can only imagine what we'd be rocking out to now, as long as it's nothing like modern age, because I don't listen to anything on the radio now. It's all garbage.
And, I mean, I'm sure like with today's technology compared to PS2, PS3, like we could play against each other online, you know, just download new games or new songs, whatever. I'm sure it's way different.
Just bing bonking all over the place.
Yeah,
that's how it's gonna be. I can't wait.
Bing bonking. He gets like 99 to 100%. I get like 97. So you're Hogan are the only one that is bing bonking.
Yeah.
Well, it'll just be
is it bing bonging or bink bonking?
I don't remember. I remember you made the meme with Lil Wayne when you sent that to us that time, and it was I thought it was bing bong.
Yeah,
bing bong, bing bong. One of the games had an encore part of it, and every time we went to an encore we'd pull our pants down and play in our underwear. I remember in like the shared hallway in Gulick, I think everybody on our floor hated us because they'd walk past and we'd just be standing there playing Guitar Hero with our pants around our ankles.
Yeah.
Dude, can you believe they're getting rid of Gulick?
It's already gone.
Yeah, it's gone. It's demolished.
Knocked down.
Yeah. Really? Oh,
yeah.
That's like heartbreaking. Well, I mean it really isn't because I haven't been there in a while. But
for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, Gulick Hall is our freshman dorm at Springfield College. So that way we could get people involved, like they know what's going on instead of being an inside story. Okay, guys? You got that?
I think I know what you're talking about, but maybe. Yeah. I was going to get to that point eventually. I didn't realize it had already been demolished. That's why I was saying I was going to go into detail, describing what it was, the nice little prison cell windows that we had in there. And I do have a lot of fond memories in there, but I couldn't tell you the last time I was actually in Gulick.
I think I was in there 4 years ago. Yeah.
I drove past it for a training. That's why I knew it was down, but I don't know the last time I was in there.
Yeah,
probably freshman year.
Yeah, no. I went to I went there like 4 years ago, coming home from seeing my sister in Maine. I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and I was like, "Oh, I'll take you around and do like a tour of campus." And it was like right when what was it when you guys like went to nationals? Like there was like 2 weeks where like basically it was almost empty.
Right.
Like that's what it was. There was like 4 kids on campus. So like the buildings were still open, but nobody was there. So like we walked around in most of the buildings, and I got into an empty townhouse, and I was like, this is disgusting. And townhouses where we had a senior living was gross. But I did get into Gulick Hall, and it is a nightmare. It's a maze. It makes no sense. It was a labyrinth. You wanted to go up 3 floors to get to the 3rd floor. Next thing you know, you're on the 5th floor. You don't know how you got there. It was the most confusing. Luckily, we were just on the bottom floor, so it was
Mhm.
easy for us to just be like, just go that way and go to the bottom, and you'll get there. But anywhere in the middle floors was like a disaster.
You had to take like 3 flights of stairs to get to like the second floor or something ridiculous. I do remember that now that you say that. Yeah. That was so stupid. I don't know who designed that place, but it's gone now. So I'm curious. Are they going to build something like new, like a new dorm room there, or do they have plans? I didn't really read into it.
No, I have no idea.
No idea. They were selling bricks.
They were
Selling bricks from the building. Yeah.
We should have got a brick.
as like a commemoration of like, hey, you want to own a piece of Gulick?
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, I'm not that attached to it, but that's certainly an interesting thing. Well, I guess I'll use Gulick as a jumping off point into our next topic here, where for those of you who don't know us in general, who are listening to this stuff for the first time, we all lived together freshman year in Gulick. That was our freshman hall. And then our sophomore and junior year, the three of us lived in Alumni, which was at the time an all dudes dorm, right? Isn't it like co-ed now? Is that something that changed? That's mind blowing to me.
Really?
Yeah.
It's been a few years.
Right. So we lived in Alumni for our sophomore and our junior years, and we had our designated track floors that obviously were a super fun time. And then we all lived together in the senior townhouses our senior year, which was absolutely ridiculous. Mike, I'm going to start with you on this one. Out of the 4 years, which like living situation was your favorite, if you could pick one?
Senior year. Yeah. I mean, the rest of the years were good, but it was definitely more fun, I guess, having like our own space technically. So it was nice to like legitimately be like, oh, like this is our house, as opposed to like a floor in a building, or like just like, or just with like one individual roommate. So it was nice. And I also think that was like, we had the most amount of time to spend together doing stuff. So it was weird. Like, I guess it wasn't weird, but it was nice. We already had the bond for 4 years, so we were already like pretty close. So that to me felt like that was the best.
All right. Tommy, same question. No pressure.
Definitely townhouse. I don't want to copy Mike, but he couldn't beat that. I mean, the 2 years in Alumni were awesome too. I feel like that was a good like predecessor. The Gulick, in a freshman dorm, you don't really feel as independent. You're like scared of your RA. You don't know. You don't really want to mess up. You know what I mean? And then we got to sophomore and junior year, and you feel a little bit more freedom when we're living with all our friends. Our captain or our RA is a captain on our team. But the townhouse, like that was the best. We felt like we were just unsupervised and could kind of do whatever we wanted.
It was absolutely ridiculous. I can attest to that for sure. But I gotta bring up a point. You weren't scared of your RA for Alumni years at all?
No.
Why not?
I mean, I was never really scared of my RA.
Yeah, but I was gonna challenge that hardcore. You were never afraid of the RAs at all. Freshman year, you made Jeff's life live in hell. Oh my God. Even when you tried to be nice for RA Appreciation Day, you were like, Mike, let's do something nice for Jeff. And then he just clogged all the sinks and all the showers to start a sauna. That's where that started from. You're like, oh, we'll do a sauna. And I'm like, Tom, you don't need to clog the things to make steam. So there's just like puddles like coming out of the shower, like the whole way. And Jeff's like, Tom, what are you doing? Like, I understand you're trying to be nice. Tom's like rubbing his shoulders. He's like, it's a spa day, relax. And he's like, Tom, I get the sentiment, but like, stop. So yeah, I call BS on nervous about your RAs thing.
Mike, you and I were lucky because all 4 years our RA happened to be a captain on our track team. But like, think about if you lived down the hall, weren't on the track team, like you'd be a little nervous when the RA came around if you were in your room partying or clogging toilets or whatever. Like you'd be a little scared of them. I'm saying in general, freshmen are usually a little bit more nervous around authority figures, and the two of us got really lucky.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know what you're talking about. I got extremely lucky too.
I feel like we just took advantage of Matt. He wanted to be the hard guy, right? The RA, the raw. And then Hogan just would drink with us. Then our like best friend was our RA for 2 years.
I mean, that certainly helps in that aspect. But yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. No, I could care less. I know for a fact that none of Res Life is still in employment there, which I think is absolutely hilarious.
You know how
Anyway,
many RAs I drank with? So many. So many.
did I ever tell you guys the story? I forget who I did it to. It was when I first became an RA at the end of sophomore year, and I keyed into somebody's room that I knew was having like a huge party, and I just told them, I was like, "Hey, just be careful whenever like the RAs are going on duty. Like, you know, try your best to keep an ear out so that way like they're not gonna like barge in or whatever." Because I knew everybody in there was underage, and they were like going wild, and I knocked on the door like 5 times and they never answered, so I finally just keyed in and I walked in, and of course like they all turn around, they just see me, and I was wearing my shirt too, just to be like, and I was like, what the fuck did I tell all of you? And their faces just drop, they turn the music off, they have like, there's beer everywhere, and I'm like, I can't believe you guys. I was like, I can't fucking believe this. Pour me a shot right now. And they all were like, yeah. And they just like went fuck wild. They turned the music back on. They were like, get him a fucking shot. And yeah, that was like hands down one of my favorite RA memories, because they were just like, all right, now we know we're like in good hands, and like I'm not gonna screw them over. So they were like cool with me the rest of the year, and it was perfect.
Hogan, I appreciate you doing that for 2 years, because just telling that story, I think, like, if I was in your spot, there's 2 things I wouldn't be able to do. And the first one is key into somebody's room. Like, I feel like that must be hard for somebody to like take a key out and open somebody's door.
Yeah.
Right.
That's such a weird thing, because I've never even thought about that before. But yeah, you're right.
Right.
Like I'd be banging and saying housekeeping like 40 times, and I'm like, shit. All right.
Right.
There were actually there were rules to it. I remember I don't specifically remember the rules, but I remember you had to like you had to knock and announce yourself X amount of times before you couldn't, like, there's no, like, if I just walked up to a room and just opened it and walked in, I would be screwed royally. I could tell you that.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want to do it regardless. And then the second part is like, you're a 19-year-old policing other 19-year-olds.
Right.
Like, we're pretty much unsupervised here. Like, what makes somebody as an RA who's my age in the same spot as me, like, in charge of me, right?
Right.
And from the people drinking in the room, from their perspective, but also like how you're feeling in that situation. Like, did you ever feel like, are these kids gonna listen to me, or are they just gonna railroad me and walk all over me, and then fuck me, I gotta turn around with my tail between my legs and go back to my room?
That's an interesting question, because the biggest thing for me was always that I never felt apprehensive about it, because I felt like I knew most of the people pretty well with like where we were at. Like, again, I don't feel like we went to a college that was so overwhelmingly large that I didn't know a ton of people that we either A, lived with, or B, were like visiting or whatever. Like, and I felt like we had a pretty good grasp of like who was where and who was doing what. So, I mean, there were a couple of times where I'd be nervous, more so dealing with the situation as opposed to the people, if that makes sense. Like, it was never like, oh, I'm afraid to like go in here and deal with this person because they might swing at me, or they might, you know, not listen to me or whatever. It was more so like, am I going to walk in here and see somebody like passed out in like a pile of their own throw up or something? Like, that made me nervous in that aspect, but I, knock on wood, I never had to deal with that. So it wasn't too bad. But no, you're spot on. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is like, I 100% had no idea what I was doing half the time. It's a lot of it is just winging it. I mean, Christ, if anybody listening to this podcast knows, we wing it all the time on here with what we do and say and stuff. But no, that was absolutely a big thing that I never really. It's faking it till you make it. That's the biggest thing I can say, is like, if you have the confidence like to do what you need to do in that situation, I feel like you're going to be okay. And for me, I never had a problem with like doing what I need to do.
Yeah. That is true, though, because immediately when you start answering, like, I immediately was like, well, I think the only reason why it probably wasn't that difficult was because it was a small college.
Right.
Because I'm sure that, like, I don't know, I've visited a bunch of my buddies in other schools, and it's like, you could like live next to somebody and you'll never see them. Like, the campus is huge. There's like thousands and thousands upon thousands of people. So I would assume that no matter where you are, like, you're at least going to have like one companion like if you walk into a group of people, at least one person be like, "Yo, Hogan's cool." Like, just shut up, like be quiet, sit on the bed, wait 15 minutes. Like it was almost like a weird like you'll look out for each other type of thing, because they also, I guess there was always someone would be like, hey, like this is easier just to just be quiet for this 10-15 minutes, and then we could do whatever we want, and then I'll get a text message saying, shut the hell up, I'm coming around again, and then just be quiet. And usually someone will be like, have enough sense to be like, shut the hell up, like just don't make this become a problem that we don't want to have to deal with. So I think in that aspect you probably got lucky, like, because I think if you were in a bigger school it probably would be an absolute nightmare now that I'm like really thinking about it.
100%, because there was definitely like certain, even still in our smaller like campus, it was still, there were specific individuals that like I wouldn't, by no means was I afraid of anybody, but it was like there were certain people where I'm like, oh my God, I really don't want to deal with this clown, because it was like I could see it going a couple of different ways depending on how drunk they were, or again the situation. I mean, a lot, believe it or not, this is going to be, I don't actually, might not be super surprising, but the biggest thing that I remember having to deal with as an RA was like upset girlfriends. And I don't mean that like for either one of you guys. I mean, no offense. I did have to deal with it. I did have to deal with a lot of upset girlfriends, ex-girlfriends from you guys. I will not lie about that. But it was especially an alumni. Alumni was the biggest one, that if I had to like walk around the halls and stuff, it was like the not cat fighting, but like girls like outside our dorms, whatever, just like wicked upset, being like, hey, are you good? Everything all set? And it's like, I got into some strange conversations with that, but it was never, again, nothing super crazy that jumps out to me until, senior year, but that was obviously extenuating circumstances.
Were you ever somebody's final write-up where like, all right, they can't come back to school? No,
thankfully, no. I mean, I think
did that really happen? I thought that was just like a bluff. Like,
no,
if you this happens enough. There was a girl in NSO group that got she got medevaced out like 15 times and she was still there until she transferred. So like I thought that was just a bunch of like hogwash.
It was if you got written up enough times, it would get to a certain point. I know that, but I never had anything to do with like anybody getting written. I think in the entire time that I was an RA for like a good chunk of like 2 years between sophomore to senior year, I wrote up like 3 people. And like the one time that I distinctively remember, I don't remember the dude's name, but I remember I wanted to like punch him in the mouth because I was so aggravated with him, because I walked by his room 3 times. His door was open and he was drinking, and he was a sophomore, and I knew he wasn't 21. And I told him like twice, I'm like, dude, like get rid of the beer or shut the door. Like, I don't care. Just pick one. Like, it's not a hard concept. And he's like, oh yeah. My bad. I walked by him the 3rd time and I was like, give me your fucking ID. You are just a moron. What the hell's wrong with you? And I remember he was so pissed at me, and I was just like, buddy, like, how many times do I have to tell you? It's not a hard concept. But yeah, no, I thankfully I never had to deal with like anything like super, super crazy. Like I said, I got very lucky in that regard. But again, I also got lucky in regard, like you were talking about, like I was policing a bunch of my own idiots. So that's the way I looked at it, and I had a great time with it.
Yeah, Mike, I never thought about it that way, that it was just a bluff. But I feel like you're right. Like maybe like you got kicked out of school because of the severity of whatever you did. But
yeah,
I feel like there were a lot of kids that got in trouble pretty regularly, and they're back the next day.
Dude, I
don't remember anybody getting kicked out.
I think it's so much smoke and mirrors. Even like when I think back, like my dad was strict as hell, like with me going to school. He's like, you can't miss class, like, or you'll never graduate. Like, you know how many idiots graduated high school and college that never showed up to class? They didn't do anything right. They basically like failed everything, and somehow they still like graduated. I'm like, how is this possible? Like, it's statistically it doesn't make sense, but it seems like they're just like, this kid sucks. We want to get him out of here. Just let him go. Like,
because they pay for it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I remember, I was going to say, I distinctly remember one of he wasn't even a professor. He was like a teacher's assistant or grad assistant, whatever the hell they called him. That was teaching one of the classes that we did, that it was like weightlifting, like training to teach weightlifting or something like that. And I distinctly remember the first day he was like, if you bring me in a Red Bull or like a Monster Energy, he's like, you can miss like a class. And I remember asking him, being like, dude, if I bring you like a 6-pack, and I not show up for like 6 weeks? And he was like, I'll allow it. I'm like, say less. Like, and I would do that. I did not show up because it would be like a class in the first thing in the morning. And I'd be like, I'm sleeping in. I don't want to go to that class. I'll just buy him a Red Bull and call it a day.
Dude, you can't besmirch higher learning like that. You can't let people see behind the curtain. What are you doing?
I mean, I totally never took advantage of that at all. I showed up to every class, never gave him any energy drinks. It was just, got away with it. Pass the class. Everything's fine. No, I mean, you're not wrong. That's the biggest thing, is even whether it's discipline or like grading stuff too. I mean, and this could go for other colleges as well. I mean, that's a big thing that I try to think about all the time, is like Springfield was unique in its own regard, but like you talk to a lot of other college people that like either graduated or went to college or what have you, and I feel like they could tell you the same thing. Especially like imagine a bigger campus too. Like I always think, because I talked about before how I contemplated going between either UConn, UNH, or Springfield, and I remember the big thing with UConn was like it was just like its own city. So it's like you're gonna go to a class that has like 3,000 kids in it. Like the professor's not gonna know who the hell's showing up for his lectures or what have you. So it's like if you got the source material and you can take advantage of what you need to do, like you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, sneaky. I feel like that's part of one of the things that you learn in college is how to be sneaky. Like realistically, because even when we were talking about Gulick and we were talking about RAs, like the person that came to my mind was that there was this sweet old little black woman that was the head security like for Gulick, and her name was Dorothy.
I was gonna ask
if she's alive, I would love to interview her. I really would. I think she'd be great. Because of all the dumb shit that she saw these drunk ass, like literally like 17, 18-year-old kids trying to like bring in or sneak in or like be secretive.
Got a 30 under their shirt, walking in like this. Like she doesn't know what's in there.
But yeah, like that's the thing, is that you just kind of like you start to push boundaries and figure out like a Gulick. I think the way that there was one kid was that they would go around the back of the building with a duffel bag, and then we would string together N64 controllers, throw them out the window, and then bring up the duffel bag filled with 30s. Like,
yep.
Then I think there was like other, like, then I figured out in the big puffy down jackets, you would be able to like put, like, I'd get a 6-pack in my sleeves. So like you just figured out how to like bend the rules and like get around things and get away with stuff.
Bend the rules. I like that. That's definitely not. It was breaking every rule that was possible. But like, no, you're not wrong. I remember the amount of times that you took like a handle, you put it up your sleeve and be like, yeah, I got a robot arm today. Don't look at this like non-moving arm right here. No, Dorothy was an absolute sweetheart. I was gonna bring her up when we were talking about Gulick for sure, but that's probably a job that I would have not wanted to have done at all compared to an RA, because again, an RA, like we had the capability to move around or go stay in the office and like do what we had to do. But you think about a security guard, like you said, some of the shit that they must have seen either going in or out of buildings. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Jack was one of them for like a while, right?
Yeah, but he was our class. Like, I think there was somebody that worked at the hospital or something with like EMS, and they talked about how our one freshman building, Gulick, in 1 year, like surpassed the amount of hospitalizations. Like, what were they called? Like, where they just grab you, put you on a stretcher, and then bring you to the hospital.
Pretty much
evacs or whatever the hell they want to call it.
Yeah.
But apparently that one individual building from when we were freshmen had more combined that entire year than that graduating classes all 4 years combined in like all of their dorms. So 4 consecutive years in 15, 20 different buildings, we broke it in one building. It was every night. Every night, me and Kyle would sit by the window and be like, "Who's getting taken out today?"
And usually, it was your buddy Chris.
That was twice. I would say mostly it was MJP. She was like taken like 15 times. It was a mess. But yeah, there was one time where one of my friends did do the Soldier Boy in the back of the ambulance. But I think our class really like drank.
There's kids doing tricks in the cafeteria.
Yeah,
that was on that. Parents or alumni weekend, right? his mom called him pissed. He's in Cheney with like his hospital robe on. This kid's doing tricks in the cafeteria. What?
What
his
is
mom's
happening?
like, why is everybody laughing right now?
No, Mike, what you're talking about though with our class, I definitely think that we were just a unique. I always look at our class as like an interesting time because we were such a strange group that the era that we were going through, where we were literally in that changeover for where the internet was kind of like coming into its own with everything, and technology was coming into its own. I think I mentioned before on here that like Tom, you were the first person I knew that had the first iPhone. I think that was senior year when you first got that. So it's like, and we didn't have wireless internet until senior year of college. Like we had to hardwire everything up until that point. So
I think the library was the only building that had Wi-Fi before that.
Right. And that was, I think, sophomore and junior, or even, I think it was up till junior year. And then they eventually went wireless. And we had the great PlayStation Network outage of senior year that broke me and Tom's heart because we couldn't play Madden and Call of Duty for the longest time. But no, I mean, that was a big thing. Was you think about like, there wasn't a whole like lot of other stuff to do besides just drink and have fun. And I feel like we took advantage of that a ton. I mean, more so than we probably should have with how much we drank and everything. But at the same time, we were just a fun group. Like I'm specifically talking about like us, the track guys, like the people that we hung out with. I know, Mike, you either drank or hung out with other people outside of like Tom and myself, but like it still brings back good memories for me every once in a while to think back to like, we had a lot of fun doing the shit that we did. I mean, granted, we did a lot of dumb shit, but we had a lot of fun doing it. And I mean, the drinks were a big part of that. I could tell you that.
Yeah, but the people were a bigger part of it, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, we got crazy with each other, but we had a good group of people, you know? Then that's what I think made it as fun as it was.
Right. But again, it never hurts to, you know, rip shots and have beers with people that you love having them with. I mean, it's kind of depressing. Like, you might as well just go to a bar by yourself if you're going to drink with strangers at that point. But that's the thing is, like, thinking back to freshman year when we used to go to Townhouse 18 all the time, the track townhouse, it was just absolutely wild every time we went in there every weekend. And that was another thing too. I think that we had such a good relationship with the seniors from our freshman year too, where I don't feel like that was really another situation like that, even while we became seniors. Like, we tried our best to take the freshmen under our wings, but we really never had that camaraderie that we did with the senior guys from our freshman year.
We had a much bigger freshman group, I think, too. There was only like 4 or 5 freshmen our senior year, right? Guys, anyways. Like, there were 9 of us.
Right.
You mean that there was 4 or 5 seniors and then there was like 9 of us that were close?
No, they had their townhouse.
Yeah.
Not all of them did track, but like of our crew, you know, there were 9 of us that ended up living in that townhouse, but also the cross country guys that put their whole townhouse together. So I feel like we had a special class of all those people that made it 4 years, didn't quit the team, didn't transfer schools, whatever, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's so weird though, hearing you guys like talk about this stuff though, because I feel like our freshman year experiences were completely different. Because I don't think I was really that close with you guys until sophomore year. Like, we were friends, but like I went and did, like how you said it before, like I did a lot of stuff. Like, I feel like I ventured very far. Like, besides Tom, I didn't really know much of the sprinters. Obviously, Nikel I knew because he was in my NSO group. But like, I went and hung out with like a whole bunch of different other people. Sorry, Kyle, for being a terrible roommate freshman year. I think I came in pissed drunk 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 nights out of the week, just banging into shit, waking them up, like asking them for notes for the classes that I missed and shit. So like, even like that senior class, I was not really close with those guys. Like, I knew them. I knew who they were. I went to the parties and stuff, but like, I honestly was not really that close with them. I don't think I really got close to the track guys until sophomore year.
That's interesting, because I always considered us like close. I mean, obviously I hung out with you probably the most on the track team like other you and Jack, because Jack lived on the same floor as myself. But obviously, Mike, where you and I were throwers, we saw each other every day, regardless with that stuff. But Tom, you brought up an interesting thing about like the team staying together as close as it was for all the years that we were. And you mentioned one word in there that it kind of rang a bell with what we wanted to talk to you about, some other stuff with college. And you said the word transfer. And I distinctively remember you telling me, and I was blown away by this because I had no idea until I think it was till after we graduated that you told me you were like seconds away from transferring out of Springfield. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, and be honest about it.
If you want to be as honest as you want. I mean, there's no bars here, so it's no Gulick window cells. You can say what you want to say.
Gulick my balls.
God, did we try and make a t-shirt about that or something?
I've been itching to say that for a while.
Itching to Gulick his balls. Great. Anyway,
Jesus.
Back to Tom transferring. Yeah, be as honest as you want, buddy. Be as sentimental as you want.
The first semester freshman year, I definitely struggled. I mean, I didn't know when I moved to Springfield, I didn't know one person, which I feel like a lot of other people have somebody that they either went to high school with or knew of or whatever, but I didn't know anybody. And I just felt really homesick. And a lot of my buddies went to Cortland, and they had my major and they had a track team, and I was let down when I couldn't play football. And I feel like there was just a lot of emotions. And then Mike knows a lot more about how our floor dynamics went. And I came back, I think it was one day after Columbus Day weekend, long weekend. I went home and I came back and there was salsa, like a can smashed all over my door, glass all over the floor. And I knew who did it, and called him out and backed him down. And he was a little word I won't say about it. Yeah. And at that point in my head, I was like, I'm transferring out of here. I actually applied to Cortland. It was for the second semester. It was just too late. So I had to stay at Springfield. But at that point in my mind, like I was gone. I had nothing to hold me back. I was just going to beat the shit out of this kid. And I feel like him not standing up out of his bed and putting his GameCube controller down or whatever he was playing, made me feel like a moral victory in that situation. And I'm glad that I applied too late, because I'm glad I stayed at Springfield and started hanging out with you guys, because the first semester was really tough. And then I feel like once track started, second semester is when I knew that's where I was supposed to be. So I guess it's a good thing he sat there with his GameCube controller.
That's awesome, man. No, I knew bits and pieces of that story, but I never knew the full scope of that. So I'm glad you shared that with us. But that's interesting, because I do remember you and I knew each other towards the end of like freshman year, because I remember you used to come around with Jack a lot more often on like visiting our floor and whatnot. And like I said, it was more so Mike. And I know a big thing was I never contemplated transferring, but at one point I remember I was really let down with a lot of shit that was going on with my freshman year too, because first and foremost, that was the year the Patriots went undefeated and then lost the Super Bowl to the Giants. Well, hold on. There's a story behind that, and it's not because of that. Relax, Jets fan over there. I don't want to hear it. No, it was because that game, that was actually the game that I've told the story where that's where I learned to keep my mouth shut until the clock hit zero, because I was the dumbass Patriots fan that got up and talked shit when the Patriots went up 14-10. I was in a room full of Giants fans, and that did not go well, because for the next month I got woken up every night at like 3:00 in the morning to people banging on my door saying Patriots 18-1. And I was like, I hate my fucking life. I don't want to be here anymore. But no, there was that aspect of it. But then on top of that too, was going into winter track was actually, I broke my foot that year too. So I actually had to redshirt for winter track, and I wasn't able to like join you guys for that. And that really like bummed me out too. But things started picking up, I know, going into springtime, where, like I said, Tom, you and I hung out a lot more. And then Mike, you and I were always hanging out at that point, regardless with other stuff. But freshman year there's a lot of ups and downs with that, but I definitely don't regret like making the choices that I made, there could have been some better ones. I'll leave it at that in terms of like some of the dumb shit that I did. But like, I'm glad that things rolled out the way that they did in terms of, like you said, Tom, where like that first semester where you had your mind set where you just weren't going to be at Springfield anymore. And I'm thankful that you were too late to apply to Cortland. So
yeah, I think often about small choices and decisions and how they affect everything else afterwards. Right.
Yeah.
Like who knows where we would be if you didn't go to Springfield. Right. Or if you didn't run track in high school or whatever it was, That's
a big thing because you talked about it too with like football. Like I was supposed to go to Springfield for football as well. And I got mono going into my freshman year. And I remember I was just like, oh, I don't really care. I'm still going to play football. And the doctor was like, no, if you
Who the hell were you making out with?
Yeah, I was waiting for that joke. I saw the smirk as soon as I said mono on that one. But no, the big thing about that I didn't realize is that your spleen gets enlarged, and they told me I medically couldn't play football because if I got hit the wrong way, my spleen could rupture and I could like bleed out on the football field. And I was like, oh, cool. I guess I'm not playing this year. And I remember the big thing that like really bummed me out was like I went to talk to the football coach and he just pretty much was like, I could give two shits if you play or not, like go away. And then obviously our coach being who he was for track, I talked to him and I was just like, yeah, I can do track and field for this guy. He's awesome. I can't wait to like hang out with him.
Right.
What are you smirking about?
I just can't believe that your whole sob story started with the New England Patriots.
Listen, it was just a part of why I was miserable that part of the year. That's what I was saying. It just
you won 18 games.
If you woke up every morning at 3:00 in the morning and somebody pounded,
waking up as a Jets fan and wanted to end it?
That's a choice. That's a choice.
It's a choice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God, man! This is why I hated. That's the reason why I wanted to leave Massachusetts was I could not deal with New England fans. They're the worst. They're the worst.
They are the worst.
Well, Philly might be worse, but
true.
But New England is like, oh my God, the amount of fights I had there was crazy.
Philly's different though because they don't really win. They're terrible fans, but their teams really aren't that good.
True.
The Patriots, the Boston fans are tougher because they're just as annoying, and then their teams win, so it makes it worse, I think. And I'm a Braves and Cowboys fan, so I hate Philly too.
I was gonna say I do distinctively remember going to Dallas with you, Tommy, and we got into a little bit of a heated argument with a couple of Philly ladies in front of us at that game in Thanksgiving that time.
Yeah.
Good times.
I'm trying to think if I would thought about I think I did think about transferring, but it wasn't due to like sports. It was because of the curriculum and the fact that I was fighting with the head of the department over some bogus BS stuff. But I couldn't transfer my credits. So then I was like, all right, I guess I'll do applied exercise science and hopefully I'll be able to graduate at the end of this and see what happens. Like just roll the dice.
If you had the opportunity to go somewhere else, where would you think you would want to go?
I probably would have went with Tom to Cortland. That's where I was looking at. A bunch of my buddies went there. I know when Tom and I went to we went to Cortica. I think I went to Cortica 8 years. I think I went to Cortica for 8 years. Yeah, like I think we were walking around and all of a sudden you hear someone yell, Mike. And all of a sudden it's just like, yo, what's up, Nikki? Like someone from like high school. And they're like, why do you know everyone here? I'm like, yo, a lot of people from high school came here. Like, but
that's like the Springfield College of New York. But it's also a state school, so it's a lot less expensive.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's not that I thought like I made a bad decision. It was just that the major, I guess, didn't work out, and the politics about it pissed me off. So I was just like, oh, I'll transfer. And then I looked at transfer. I was like, nah, this is not going to happen. There's nowhere I could go. And it would basically just be starting over again. So I'd be flushing like 60 grand down the drain.
Going to go in a little bit of a different direction here in terms of like where we talked about how you didn't transfer Tom with, Mike, what do you got?
Oh, no, I was finger gunning to you. I'm pointing at you, but it just looks like I'm pointing forwards.
Oh, all right. That's all right. Well, anyway, as I was saying, my train derailed completely off of that one. No, anyway, Tom, We were talking about how you made a good choice in not transferring. Obviously, things worked out for the best in that regard. If you're looking back at your college career with either us or track or studies or anything, do you have any regrets from college that you could sit there and you could either speak to, or whether it was like, because a big thing that Mike and I talk about on here a lot is like, obviously we both went to Springfield for physical education and we both changed to exercise science. And then I don't regret that in the slightest. I wish I had started with exercise science. But then we had a good conversation at one point about whether we would even go to college knowing what we know now. Not saying it was like a waste of time or anything like that, but it's interesting where him and I aren't using our degrees in any aspect, where I could have saved a buttload of money by not going to college and still doing what I'm doing right now. So in a long roundabout way, do you have anything specifically either from Springfield, your college experience, just something that you look back on and you say, I wish that had gone differently, or I wish I'd made that choice to better yourself where you are today?
Yeah, I think anybody who says no would be just lying. I feel like there's some things I regret that I don't want to talk about on a recording.
That's okay.
That we've probably talked about before, but this just isn't the place for it.
That's okay.
There's other things I regret that I'd probably rather talk to a therapist about. Mm-hmm. And then I think my biggest regret is just my major choice. Yeah. When I went in as an 18-year-old, on my tour trip in my shirt and tie, black shoes, black pants, black shirt, black tie, looking like a dork, right?
Did you wear your Letterman?
No, I never got one of those. I wasn't that dorky, Hogan.
Hey, I wore mine, you asshole.
So I go to Cheney, and then I meet with one of the football coaches, and I told him I'm between sports management and phys ed. And I honestly, I'm a kid. I didn't know the difference between either one of those things. And, you couldn't just type it in ChatGPT and figure that out. Right. So he started talking to me about, they're extremely different, and here's why. And, phys ed, you're teaching, coaching, and sport management he gave me a list of all these Springfield alumni that were working in professional sports, and it was like Atlanta Hawks and Orlando Magic. And I was like, yep, that's what I want. I want to go be Jerry Jones. Right. So I made this decision before I knew really anything about it other than, these big name sports teams that had Springfield alumni working there. And I made that call, and I wish I did phys ed. That's, running camps and after school programs at the Y now. I do a lot of phys ed, but I just wish I had a formal training in it instead of the business degree, because I sold tickets for a while before I went back to working with kids, and just wasn't my thing. And yeah, a ton of $1,000 later, you make that decision when you're 18 and have no idea, and then you regret it later. But that's probably my biggest regret.
Right. That's one thing that we talked about in length here before too, where, like I said, it's such a hard position to put somebody that at that age into, to be like, here, determine the rest of your life with this one choice that you are now locked into, whether you want to do it or not. And if you think about changing it, better figure it out quick, because if you do it a year or two into it, you're going to be screwed, like Mike was, where he had to fight with the department head to just get out of the program that he was in. So that's totally relatable in that respect. But it's at the same time, it worked out great the way that it did, even though you're not using the degree in that aspect. But where you're at now is where you're meant to be, kind of thing. And I think that's the kind of weird, beautiful part of that butterfly effect, like you were talking about earlier, where it's just one little choice adds up to where you are at now. And I mean, that's the thing is I hope you're as happy as can be with what you're doing now. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I love it. It's, like any job, I feel like there are days where you say you're never coming back, and then days you're like, I can do this for the rest of my life. But I love it. I love the why. Still do a lot of work with Springfield College. They send a group of kids out every year to come volunteer at our summer camp, and it's a few other alumni that work with me. And yeah, it's special. I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's crazy putting like that decision on a kid. Then you have to figure it out now. Like, oh yeah, like you're a child, make your life decision now, and everything has to kind of like work out that way as like a domino effect, where it's like, oh, start here, and then it goes this way, and they had like this whole trajectory. So, no, I mean, like Tom said, I think if you ask anybody, I think a majority of people would be like, yeah, no, I made a mistake, unless their dad was like the head of accountant for something and he was already going to get the job, and he's like, yeah, I did accounting, my grandfather was an accountant, like obviously this is what I'm doing. But when you're trying to figure yourself out, it seems like it's too much pressure to put on a kid.
The biggest thing,
especially when they're like sneaking beers in with N64 controllers and other stuff. It's like, yeah, that kid seems super responsible. We should let his future be up to him right now.
That's the biggest thing. Actually, I do want to ask Tom is like, did you ever partake in Drink and Drive Mario Kart with us or no?
No, I don't think so.
I'm telling you, Tom did not drink with us as much as you think. A lot of the other guys that were not throwers, we drank on Saturdays after meets. Most of the week, they were pretty straight. Like I was getting loose monthly. I didn't care what day it was.
Yeah,
I think you guys were pretty strict.
the running people, I feel like only partied on Saturdays after meets.
Yeah. Okay. I was talking to Ashley earlier about how Ludacris came and we did purple drink, and I remember I got really messed up from that. That was one of the dumbest things I think I ever did because I blacked out so hard that night because I had no water and lots of purple drink, and it was bad news bears. And that was actually, believe it or not, that was actually my first concert.
Really?
Yeah. Was he sophomore year or junior year?
Sophomore year.
Are you sure?
I'm
Because
pretty
when did Bruno Mars and Jay Sean come?
Senior year.
So who was the other two? Boys Like Girls?
Boys Like Girls and God, what was the freshman year?
I thought that was freshman year.
No, state something. Wasn't it like State Radio or something? Is that a band or am I making that up?
No, that sounds familiar actually. Yeah. All I remember is Ludacris was absolutely wild. And
he was so good.
He was so good.
He stayed for so long. He did like 2 sets. He's like, I'm going to stay on the stage so these motherfuckers kick me out. And I was like, oh, shit. And he's like, I'm going to take requests. I just remember when he was like, let me hear from my white people. And the place went crazy. He's like, let me hear from my sprinkled in black people. And then it's like, woo, like a couple of years. And he was laughing so fucking hard.
One of my favorite memories from that one was actually when he did the Justin Bieber song. And he's like, of course, all you whiteys know like the Justin Bieber part. And he was just like singing his part. We were like, fuck yeah, let's go. Yeah, that was a fun time. But
yeah, we had some good times that weren't related to drinking. Like I think both of you were there when we tried to catch. Remember we tried to catch the ducks?
Yep.
With out of the second floor where we were trying to ooh piece of candy, the duck with the recycling bin.
Yes.
And we were putting bread under there and we were up on the second floor trying to catch it. I don't know. Glad we didn't catch one. I don't know what we were gonna do with it.
There was that, and then there was the what was it, the totem like climb or whatever, right?
Grease pole.
Grease pole. That was it. Yeah.
That was part of Stayuka.
That's illegal now.
Yeah, which is not a thing anymore. It's called Spirit Week, which was funny because I saw a post from Springfield College and they were like, oh, like midnight breakfast. It looks lame as hell now. I remember that was a shit show. The midnight bingo and the midnight breakfast was a shit show. Everyone was like, midnight breakfast, we're going to get loaded. And then at midnight, we're just going to crush pancakes and eggs and like, oh my God, dude, that might be like, now that I'm thinking about it, that might have been one of my favorite nights was midnight breakfast.
Didn't Flynn used to do he flipped the omelet or something, right? The powdered pancake? Yeah, and you couldn't drop it or you were an asshole?
Well, it was that. And I remember I was nervous because I was like wrecked, like could barely stand. And I'm like, oh no, the president's here. He can't see me like miss these like pancakes. So like he throws one up and I catch it. And I'm like, sweet, totally nailed it. Like, didn't look like an asshole. Then I was like, I want more pancakes. So I walked up and tried to put my hand on the griddle to grab more pancakes. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, huh? Why would you put your hand on a hot griddle? I'll just give you pancakes. And he's like, just wait a second. And I was like, oh, okay. And just like walked away and it's like, shit.
I feel like we could do a whole podcast about Cheney.
We probably
Just
could.
Stories about the dining hall.
We 100% could. And we're going to probably have to do that at some point. That'll be.
You're gonna come back or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had fun?
Yeah, this is fun.
All right, good. Well, we all had fun. We're about that hour mark now. So if you made it this far with us, we, as always, appreciate the heck out of you guys listening. Tommy boy, it was absolutely amazing having you on as our first guest. Looking forward to the future appearances by you and many more fun stories that involve yourself, me, or Mike over here. Mike, you got anything fun in the chamber before we wrap this baby up? Because I'm sure people want to hear more about docile llamas and my 3-in-1 napkin idea and hot dog eating contest or whatever else we got on the docket.
Yeah, nothing crazy. This was just, I figured since we were all ex-athletes or student athletes or whatever, if there was like one physical feat that you could perform, what would it be? And like the things I'm thinking of is like drive a ball 400 yards or dunk a basketball or throw a ball 100 miles an hour. If there's a different sport you could think of, but basically if there's like one athletic feat that you wish that you were able to do, whether it's now or like, hey, I used to be able to do this, like what would it be? Because I know exactly what mine would be. But
I think I have mine. Does it have to be? It has to be something like realistic, right? Like you can't be like fucking Superman or something, right?
no.
I'm just asking. I don't know what
I
the
didn't say
rules
what's
are.
your favorite, what superpower would you want? And then you didn't even pick a superpower, you picked a full superhero. And the most outrageously like should be nerfed superhero.
That's why I'm setting the stage for making sure I know exactly what I can answer for this. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
I feel like I have to start telling you these questions beforehand so that way you can understand what the hell I'm talking about.
I understand now. That's why I asked a simple question. I know what mine is. Can I say mine?
Yeah, go ahead. It's probably dumb. Go ahead.
It's not dumb. It's, you know what? Now I don't want to tell you because you're an asshole. Tom, you get to go first because I don't want to tell Mike anymore.
I feel like, I don't know, athletically, I feel like dunking a basketball is like a, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, like a standard. You know what I mean? Like when you hit that, that's, I think, special. So I would say dunking. And I know you listed that as an example, so it's kind of a, like I'm stealing it, but
no, you
I
didn't
feel like I've just always wanted to be able to dunk, and I could never do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I picked. Like, that's what I would rather do. And a bunch of my buddies at home are all like ex-baseball players. So they'll pick throw 100. And I was like, I don't want to throw 100 miles an hour. When am I going to do that?
Right.
Like, I'd rather just like be able to go play a pickup game and just throw down. Even if I couldn't do anything else besides dunk, I'd be very happy just being able to dunk.
Yep.
Do I have to say mine now, or are you going to be a dick?
I mean, I don't have to be one. It depends on what you say.
Both.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, right. No, for me, honestly, because I'm such a football guy, I would want to like mechanically be able to actually throw like a spiral and actually be able to throw a football like properly. That's my biggest thing. I've never been able to throw a football.
Is it like a distance though? Like you want to be able to like drop a dime from like 50 or just?
I think it would just be like actually throw like a good like spiral. Like it doesn't. I don't have to like have a cannon for an arm. I would just like, because I remember growing up, we would always play like pickup football, and I would always want to try and play quarterback, and then it was just like I throw the ball once, and everybody'd be like, "Yeah, no, like don't do that." And I'd be like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna go eat and be fat and be a lineman." So that just makes life a lot easier. But like for me, I could never throw a football to save my life other than like goofy ass like behind the back shit or like sidearm or whatever, just like messing around with it. But like you just see like I see, especially with like the combine and like guys coming out of college or whatever, that just like throw the ball like seamlessly, and it's just like, how the fuck do they do that? I've never been able to do it. I mean, I could always touch rim, so dunking was never like a big thing for me.
It's a big difference between touching the rim and dunking the ball.
That's not even close.
I'm not saying I could dunk. I'm just saying I was just like, I was close enough. I don't really need to. I suck at basketball anyway, so it was like,
freshman year, I was able to hit the rim and like an inch or two below my wrist, and I didn't even know I could do it. It was after we started strength training, and all of a sudden I was playing like intramural basketball, and I was like, let me see if I could still grab the rim because I was like 230 pounds as opposed to like 170, and I hurt myself because I just like windmilled it onto the rim, and I was like, what the hell? Yeah. And I tried so hard to get the ball in, and I could not. And my buddy who could dunk was like, yeah, you practice with tennis balls and you get to softballs. But he's like, that jump from dunking a tennis ball to dunking a basketball is insane. Like it's two different worlds.
I will say that I do have dreams sometimes about dunking a basketball, like floating in the air and slamming it down. I do not have dreams about throwing a football.
Can you throw a football?
Better than you just described how you do it.
There you go. Yeah. So that's not something you have to worry about. That's my whole point. Hey, if I could crush a golf ball 400 yards, then I wouldn't pick that as my answer either. That's the biggest thing, obviously, if I was into golf in that aspect. But no, I mean, that's I remember Mike, you were talking about like grabbing rim or whatever. It was like after we started power cleaning, that's where like all that came from, was like being able to like actually like jump that high. Because I remember that was the biggest thing that shocked me too. I was like 250 pounds, and all of a sudden like people are like, oh, you can't jump. And I'm like, oh, really? And you just like grab the rim, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, how did that happen? I remember the big thing was like Vince Wilfork used to be able to dunk a basketball, and everybody was just like, what? That dude's like 320 pounds. It's like, yeah, he's also a professional nose tackle, so that's a little bit of a different story. But yeah, don't judge me because you can throw a football. I can't throw a football. It's fine. Giggles McGee over here. All right.
You could still do that, though.
What, throw a football?
Like, you could go practice throwing a football. I'm never going to be able to dunk.
I mean, you could. You get robot legs.
Okay.
Hey, you did not have that off the card, so I didn't say it was a superpower.
Cyborg. That's Cyborg. Cyborg's a superhero.
Well, people have bionic legs now. Like Little Ting Ting. Isn't that from like Cat Williams or something? Or Kevin Hart? I forget. One of the comedians said that.
They have guys that run on blades, but I'm pretty sure they would still like their legs.
Blade Runner. I don't know. They're faster than like guys that have regular legs. So
no, they're not.
Yeah, they are. That's totally a thing.
No, it's not.
You can fact check me on that.
They were saying they were nervous that it was going to be like an issue, but they're not.
Tom, what's your thought?
They're not. It's not close.
You know what? Fuck both of you.
This is good.
Tom,
I like having Tom on this podcast.
I don't like having him on
like a lot of things. You should be.
Oh yeah, because you guys want to just gang up on me and be assholes. That's obviously what it wants to be at this point. Yeah.
Oh my God, we're not assholes. Thank you for watching this episode of From Drinking Buds to Thinking Buds with Mike, Hogan, and Tom. And we'll see you guys later.
Toodaloo, mother.